How many people hide in the concrete of the 90s? This question now greets visitors of Mistecki Arsenal National Art Complex in Kyiv. It's a part of a new exhibit titled Instant Time about that vibrant period in Ukrainian history.
The 90s are so important for Ukraine because before that we were in isolation. And even with our exhibition, you can see that it was an explosion and chaos. It's a very surrealistic space we have here, and it was really like that in the 90s.
The exhibit explores the 90s in 9 regions of Ukraine, the most western of which being Lviv. There, the artistic community used performance art to bid farewell to the Soviet past. One such piece is this ballerina, who is fishing in a pond of broken glass.
Ballet is such a classical art form and was very popular in the Soviet Union. And very often, artists worked in this way of making things seem absurd, of mockery and irony.
Part of the post-Soviet experience were attempts to imitate the newly available Western culture. Artists from Kherson tried to copy an iconic Western album cover and in the process produced entirely new works of art.
In the copying process, we shifted far away from what we focused on. And secondly, through this way of copying, the originality of each person who tries to copy or imitate comes through powerfully.
The 90s also gave rise to gang violence in the aftermath of the Soviet Union's collapse, and a widespread criminal culture emerged. This artist from Ivano-Frankivsk found a constructive way to depict it.
This 90s nostalgia for some exploits, these street crusades against neighbors or neighborhoods, people can be attracted to this. It's a nostalgia for what hasn't happened, and maybe it's good that this didn't happen to me, but the nostalgia remains, and I embody it in my art.
Overall, the 90s in Ukraine were times of great challenges and a creative search to overcome them. To represent how the decade passed in Kharkiv, curators used a metaphor of the market, where people sold things out of shipping containers just to make ends meet.
Everyone has their own container. They open up and show something, but with that, in good and bad ways, they don't want to go beyond their respective container. And Kharkiv is a city like that lets you be strange in some ways, be yourself, and at the same time doesn't let you disturb anyone else, like it is in the market.
The Instant Time exhibition in Mistecki Arsenal Art Complex will be taking visitors back to the Ukrainian 90s until August 12th. Artur Kornienko and Serhiy Ilinsky for UATV.